Okay, here's where we left off last time. If we go to our shading tab, you can see we have baked our lighting information, shadows, bumpiness, all of that stuff into a single texture, which is this texture node here, which means we can actually just go ahead and select all of these here and get rid of those. X to delete. And this is all we need. So I'm going to come back over to our layout, and this time we're going to have a little animation, a little camera animation, just circling our object. So just gonna put my viewport somewhere like this. I'm gonna disable our overlays and something like this. I think that's good. I'm going to view and align active camera to view. Okay, let me lock camera to view here. This is in our view tab. All right, now just place that in the middle here. Okay, I'm going to uncheck that now and close this and come out here, and that we can see our camera. Well, not really. If I do this, now we can see our camera. I'm just going to hide the light. We don't need the light because we're not using lighting information. Okay, now we're going to make the camera spin around our object. Now, there are better ways to do it, but I'm just going to do it the really quick and dirty way. I'm going to add in an empty plane axis, and that's pretty huge, so I'm just going to S to scale and bring it down. You can see points sticking out in all directions. So now I'm going to select my camera and then shift select my empty and then control P to parent, and I'm just going to say object keep transform. And now when I just select my empty and start rotating that on the Z axis, you can see that goes around. So it's just a very simple camera animation, nothing too fancy. If you have something more fancy, this method is probably a little bit too simplistic and rigid, but since I only want the camera just to spin, it will work for my purposes here. So let's go to our animation tab. So I'm going to make sure that my empty is selected and we are on frame 1 down here, and then hovering my mouse cursor over the viewport, I'm going to press I and then choose rotation. And if you have this tab open here, their object properties on your empty, you can see we've added a keyframe here, which is yellow, and that is represented down here too. And if this opens like this for you, you can just collapse that because these are all the same keyframe. It's just represented down in the hierarchy. You can also find this information if you press the N key and then right here, here's your rotation. So on the Z, I'm just going to rotate that. I want it to go the other way. So, which is going to go into the negative degrees. And I want it to go all the way. So all the way would be 360 degrees. I'm going to say negative 359 degrees. Because oh, actually, you know what? I need to change this first. So if I make a change up here and then I move my playhead, then it's going to just snap to the original position. So I just want to make sure that my playhead is in the right spot before I hit the keyframe. So we're going to do that again, minus 359, enter. And now it turns orange, which means we've changed the value, but we haven't set a keyframe yet. So I'm going to go ahead and set a keyframe by hovering over the Z and press I. And now we have a keyframe on 359. And the reason I didn't go to 360 is because that is the next frame. So if it loops, if I press play, it'll go right back to the beginning. So it should be a seamless animation. Although it's not quite that seamless. You can see it starts off slow, it picks up speed, and then right as it gets to its starting point, it slows down again. And you can see, so it just kind of keeps ramping up and ramping down. So we don't want that. We want it to be linear. So hover your mouse over the dope sheet or your timeline here. It should be the dope sheet. And press T and then choose linear. Make sure you have your keyframes selected too, by the way. And now you have this green line from one keyframe to the other, and that just means that it's a linear motion. If I come over here to the graph editor home, you can see now it's linear. If I change this back, by default, it is a Bezier curve. So you can see it's actually easing in, and then it speeds up, and then it eases out or slows down. So having that be linear, then it's going to be a constant. It's going to be a constant speed through the whole thing. So let's go ahead and keep it like that, and then press play again. And now we can see we have a continual, endless loop of rotating camera. Okay, so let's see what that looks like in camera mode. Oh, I still have, let's go back to our layout. And then 0. So let's select our camera, which is now under our empty because we parented that. So the camera is a child of the empty. And then I'm going to uncheck background images. And undo, I guess I could have just disabled the overlays, but okay, so let's go ahead and play this now. There we go. Kind of like a little showcase of our toilet paper. And I actually did go the wrong way with the camera because since we're rotating the camera, the object is going to appear like it's going the opposite way. So let's, I'm just gonna go back to my camera and, oh, not the camera, we need the empty. That's where our keyframes are on. So all the way over here at frame 250, we have negative 359. I'm just going to change that to positive 359. And of course, we have to make sure we press I while hovering over. You can also right click and single keyframe. Another thing we do to clean this up is just right click on the X and the Y and just say clear single keyframes. Same thing for the Y, clear single keyframes. And that's because we're not rotating this on any of these axes except for the Z. So we just have this information here. And now if I press play, there we go. That's the direction I want the toilet paper to appear as it's spinning. We could probably make this a little bit faster if we just take this keyframe and the end and G to grab and move that in. We'll go doubly fast. Go to 100. And then we're going to end at 100. Whee! And now it should just continue to loop seamlessly. That might be a little too fast. Let's go. I'm going to bring it all the way to 200 actually. See what that looks like. Yeah, that's not too bad. So let's go ahead and render out this animation. So let's go to our render mode here. Bring this timeline up a little bit. Actually, a little bit more, a lot more. And then I'm going to split it. And then here I'm going to make this the 3D viewport and 0 to go into camera mode here. And material preview, disable my overlays. And I just want to make sure that the render actually matches this. Now I have my render set. If I press F12 right now, it's going very, very, very slow. And right now we're just looking at our placeholder. So let's go to our render result and see what's happening. You can see this is Cycle's rendering engine, and it's calculating and rendering out this animation. But you see we're still, it's 37 seconds into the render, and we're still on the first frame. And we're still chugging here on this. And that's going to keep rendering until the whole image is rendered. But I think I also know why. If I come over here to my my output tab. See, my resolution is huge. I don't want it to be like that. So let's go ahead, stop this. Oh, nope. Let's go back there. I meant stop this down here. And it's going to cancel that render. So that kind of demonstrates what I was talking about. Cycles being slow to render one image. Of course, this image is huge, so we're going to bring that down. So we're 1920 by 1080, And now if I hit F12 again, it's smaller and it's going to take a lot less time to render, but this is still way too slow. So you can see all these squares, and it's going to keep going until it finishes the whole frame here. And then that's just frame one. We have 200 frames. So we're already at 20 seconds. This is going to take forever to load this animation. But luckily, we've already baked our lighting onto our object, so we don't need to use cycles for our render engine. So I'm going to stop this again here. And now, if I come up to Render tab, change this to Eevee, and now I press F12 to render. Boom. There we go. Done. That was 3 seconds. So now it's going to take 3 seconds to do that for each frame, but that is a lot quicker than 2-3 minutes per frame. So I'm just going to make sure that this matches this when we press F12. So F12 is just rendering a single image. I just want to make sure these two match. So I just kind of pick random frames along the way here, just to see our viewport and whether it matches the render or not. So if these two don't match, then you need to make sure you are on the correct settings for your render properties here. If for some reason these don't match, check a couple of things. First, make sure you're in viewport shading rendered mode here. And then the other thing is, if we come to our output properties tab, all the way down here, you can see this post-processing. I'm just going to bring this out just a little bit. We see compositing and sequencer checked. Now, this is not what we want, because if sequencer is checked, then that's going to take the priority over any other render, the compositor or the 3D camera. But the reason it's not, we're kind of getting lucky now, is because we don't actually have any video strips or audio strips or anything in the sequence editor. So therefore, even though it's checked, it's still recognizing the 3D camera as our render. So sequencer check, that's going to take priority over everything else. I'm going to uncheck that. I'm also going to uncheck compositing, because that is for our compositor here, our node setup for our render layers and all of that stuff. We're not using that either, so I'm just going to keep that unchecked. And then now press F12 to try to see if then that solves your issue. And one more here. You can also come up here to render image. You can see that there are the shortcuts, F12. All right, so now I want to render the animation. But before I do that, I'm going to come to the output tab again. And here's our resolution, which we already changed. 24 frames per second is fine with me. The output here, directory, I'm going to just do // and then IMSEQ, oh, can't type, for image sequence. And then in the image sequence folder, I'm going to name this folder 0120, because that's what it should be instead of just 120. I'm just going based off of my file name up here. And then camera anim, another / to make that a folder. And then inside it, I'm going to name it the same thing, 0120 underscore camera anim, and then underscore enter. And the last underscore is just to separate the frame numbers that are going to be automatically generated. I'm going to uncheck overwrite. I'm going to keep file extensions checked. I'm going to change the file format from PNG to JPEG. And I'm going to change the quality from 90 to 75%. And I'm going to save it. And now we can render it out into an image sequence by either coming to render animation, or Control F12. And now it's going to start at frame 1, and it's going to render each frame through all of our frame range, which right now is 200. And you can see up here the time it takes to render each one of them out. We've got slightly below and slightly above 3 seconds. And so it's going to do that until it's done, and then we will see our, actually we can go ahead and look at our images. You can see why I put the underscore after camera anim is because it automatically adds the frame number. So that 0026 is the frame number, and you can see we're on frame 31 over here, 32, and that's 31, 32. And after we're all done rendering these out, we're going to import those into the video sequence editor to make a little movie.